Did you know that humility is not just a virtue but also the key to a tranquil, peaceful, and unburdened soul? In the trap-filled journey of life where ego looms large, how can we let go of self-centeredness, cultivate a calm mind, and live serenely amidst life's constant changes? Join channel Living Peacefully as we deeply explore the profound meaning of humility through the lens of Buddhism and discover invaluable lessons to help you achieve true happiness. Don't forget to like, share, and leave your thoughts below the video. Your feedback is an invaluable source of inspiration for us to continue delivering quality content. In the relentless flow of life, where everyone is constantly striving to assert themselves, humility has become increasingly rare. Yet, it is humility that serves as the key to living peacefully, without causing suffering to ourselves or others. Let us delve deeper into the meaning, value, and practice of humility through the lens of life philosophy, particularly as inspired by Buddhist teachings. Humility, the root of tranquility. Dear friends, humility is not just a noble moral quality, it is also a path to inner peace and true happiness. In Buddhist teachings, humility is regarded as one of the fundamental virtues that helps individuals transcend the confines of the ego, freeing themselves from greed, anger, and ignorance, to live a life of lightness and serenity. The Buddha taught that the ego is the root of suffering. When people place excessive importance on themselves, they often center their existence around their own desires, becoming ensnared by negative emotions such as arrogance, anger, and jealousy. The ego acts as a veil that obscures clarity, preventing us from realizing the impermanence of life. In its deepest sense, humility is the lowering of the ego, the release of illusions about superiority, and the recognition that we are but a small part of the vast, interconnected universe. Imagine a river that can only receive water from all sources if its bed is lower than the surroundings. Similarly, humility allows our souls to open, ready to learn and change. A humble person does not see themselves as the center but recognizes that all beings are equal and interconnected within the cycle of dependent origination. The Buddha taught that humility is not about diminishing self-worth but about understanding that all achievements, talents, and successes are the result of effort combined with the conditions provided by the world around us. Humility is the foundation for letting go, releasing attachment to the ego and transient material possessions. When the mind is not burdened by the pursuit of fame, status, or praise, we feel lighter and freer. Like a traveler who only carries the essentials, we learn to shed unnecessary mental burdens, making our journey towards enlightenment smoother. Humility liberates us from comparison and competition, offering us peace within ourselves. The Buddha once told a story about a powerful king who felt restless despite having everything he could desire. One day, the king sought the guidance of a monk, asking, "How can I find true peace?" The monk simply smiled and handed the king a small bowl, instructing him to fill it with water from a river without spilling a single drop. On his way, the king focused so intently on keeping the water from spilling that he forgot all else. When he returned, the monk said, "You see, humility is like keeping the bowl of your soul from overflowing with ego, so it can hold peace." Humility is also the gateway to practicing compassion. Only by lowering the ego can we truly understand and empathize with the suffering of others. An arrogant person sees only themselves, but a humble person recognizes their connection to all beings. Humility not only helps us appreciate the beauty of simplicity but also encourages us to live with love and respect for everyone around us. In life, many misunderstand humility as a sign of weakness or lack of confidence. However, in reality, only those with inner strength can truly be humble. When we are no longer driven by the need to show off or prove ourselves, our souls become strong and free. Humility is not about devaluing oneself but understanding that true value lies not in what we have but in how we live and interact with the world. Friends, live like water that flows over obstacles yet retains its softness and tranquility. Learn to listen more, speak less, and let humility guide you on your journey to peace. Whenever you face challenges or difficulties, remember that humility is an invisible strength that helps us navigate through life's storms without being swept away. As we conclude today's lecture, take a moment to ask yourself, is my ego hindering the peace of my soul? Have I learned to let go and live with humility? If your answer is no, that's perfectly fine. You can start this journey at any moment. With just a bit of awareness and a small change, you'll realize that humility is the root of tranquility and the doorway to a life of serenity and happiness. The manifestation of humility through the lens of Buddhism. Dear friends, humility, in the light of Buddhist teachings, is not merely a moral virtue but a vibrant expression of enlightenment. It is not found in flowery words or pretentious appearances but is reflected in our thoughts, actions, and attitudes in daily life. The Buddha taught that humility is not about lowering oneself but about connecting with all things through respect, compassion, and wisdom. One of the clearest manifestations of humility is the willingness to learn. A humble person never assumes they know everything. They recognize that knowledge is infinite, while human understanding is limited. The Buddha once said, "The wise always know there is much they do not know." A humble person does not see their knowledge as supreme but remains open to lessons from everyone and every situation, whether it is from a teacher, a friend, or even a child. This continuous learning not only enriches their wisdom but also softens their heart, helping them realize that life is an endless flow of lessons. Humility is also evident in how we handle success and failure. The arrogant are easily swept up in pride and disdain when they succeed, as well as resentment and despair when they fail. But a humble person understands that success and failure are impermanent. They do not let achievements blind them but see them as the result of conditions and the support of others. When facing failure, they do not blame themselves or others but view it as an opportunity to learn and grow on their spiritual path. Another manifestation of humility is gratitude. Humble individuals always appreciate the small blessings in life and are grateful to everyone who has supported them. They recognize that nothing in this world comes naturally. From daily meals to opportunities for learning or work, everything is a combination of many factors, involving the efforts of not just themselves but also those around them. In Buddhist scriptures, gratitude is seen as a foundation for practice, for only with gratitude can we live with an open heart and strive to become better. Humility also shines through in the ability to listen and understand. Humble people do not seek to impose their opinions on others but listen with compassion and empathy. They do not interrupt or argue to win but quietly listen to understand. In the Metta Sutta, the discourse on loving kindness, the Buddha taught, "Listen with your heart, not just with your ears." This deep listening helps build relationships based on respect and love, rather than competition or domination. Humility is further demonstrated in the willingness to help without seeking recognition. Humble people do not help to be praised or to showcase themselves but because they feel a deep connection to others. They understand that benefiting others also benefits themselves because all beings are intricately connected in the cycle of cause and effect. In Buddhist texts, the Buddha once shared a story about a poor woodcutter who shared his only piece of bread with a starving beggar. This small act was a living testament to humility and compassion. Lastly, humility is expressed in how we live with compassion and non-attachment. Humble individuals do not discriminate between rich and poor, high and low, but treat everyone with the same compassion and respect. They do not see themselves as above or below anyone but view all beings equally, as the Buddha taught, All beings possess Buddha nature. They understand that the ego is not the center of the universe, and only by letting go of attachment to the self can they truly find peace. Friends, humility is not something distant or unattainable but is present in the smallest of our daily actions. From how we listen and learn to how we treat those around us, all are expressions of humility. Live like a quiet stream that nourishes life or like the sunlight that brightens the world without expecting praise. For humility is the root of tranquility and the doorway to true peace and wisdom. The benefits of humility in life through the lens of Buddhism. Dear friends, in the journey of life, humility is not only a noble virtue but also a source of countless benefits, both spiritually and in everyday life. The Buddha taught that humility forms the foundation of serenity. It is the key that unlocks the door to liberation from suffering and leads us to true happiness. To understand more deeply, let us reflect on the profound benefits of humility illuminated by Buddhist teachings. First and foremost, humility helps us overcome arrogance, one of the primary sources of suffering. Arrogance binds us to our ego, making us believe we are the center of the universe, the best, the most righteous. This excessive attachment to the self hardens our hearts and closes us off from new ideas or advice. The Buddha taught, the wise never claim to know everything, for they understand that the vast ocean of wisdom is endless. By practicing humility, we realize that our knowledge is but a drop in the ocean, and this awareness opens our hearts to learn, grow, and evolve. Secondly, humility brings peace to the soul. When we no longer strive to prove ourselves superior or compete for recognition, our hearts naturally become lighter. In Buddhist teachings, the Buddha compared the mind of a humble person to a still, tranquil lake. When unperturbed by ambition and arrogance, the mind reflects truth clearly, undistorted by judgment or prejudice. This benefit enables us to live mindfully, let go of unnecessary burdens, and cherish the true values of life. Another significant benefit of humility is its ability to foster harmonious relationships. Humble individuals do not place themselves above others, nor do they look down or judge anyone. They treat everyone with respect and empathy. The Buddha once said, "A humble person is like a ripened grain, bowing low to share and cultivate connection." This humility dissolves the barriers between ourselves and others, creating bonds of harmony and genuine love. Such relationships not only enrich our lives but also provide solace and encouragement during difficult times. Humility also makes us role models for others. In Buddhist scriptures, there is a story about an elderly monk who lived a simple, humble life that radiated peace to everyone he met. When his disciples asked for the secret to his tranquility, he simply smiled and said, "When I see myself neither above the grass nor below the flowers, my heart becomes like flowing water moving freely without attachment." His humility not only benefited himself but also served as a guiding light for countless others. The greatest benefit of humility lies in its role in spiritual progress. When we are humble, we have the courage to self-reflect and recognize our flaws, allowing us to correct them. The Buddha taught that only by accepting our imperfections can we gradually move toward completeness. Arrogant individuals often hide their mistakes behind excuses, but humble people confront their faults with honesty. This attitude allows them to make continual progress not just spiritually but in every aspect of life. Ultimately, humility is the path to wisdom and liberation. It helps us let go of the ego, diminish attachment, and purify the mind. The Buddha said, "Only when we relinquish ego can we truly step through the gates of liberation." Humility reveals the truth that everything operates according to the law of dependent origination, and nothing truly belongs to us. When we are no longer bound by arrogance or ambition, we experience true freedom, a freedom that is independent of external circumstances. Friends, humility is not about diminishing oneself but about expanding the heart and mind to embrace life fully. Live with humility, not only for your own benefit but also to spread peace and love to others. Humility not only lightens our souls but also illuminates the path for those lost in the tumultuous sea of life. By living humbly, we not only discover serenity but also become part of a loving flow, harmonizing with all beings in the universe. Practicing humility in life through the lens of Buddhism. Dear friends, humility is not just a virtue we aspire to cultivate but also a path of practice that leads to serenity and wisdom. In Buddhist teachings, humility is considered the foundation of liberation. But how can we embody humility in a life filled with temptations and competition? Let us delve into its meaning and explore ways to practice humility illuminated by the wisdom of the Buddha. First and foremost, to practice humility, we must deeply understand the nature of the self. The Buddha taught that all human suffering originates from clinging to the ego, the attachment to the idea of me and mine. This ego is often inflated by ambition, arrogance, and achievements we claim as our own. However, upon deep contemplation, we realize that this ego is merely a collection of conditions, with nothing truly belonging to us. Practicing humility begins with letting go of this attachment, opening our hearts to the truth that we are but a small part of the vast universe. An effective way to cultivate humility is by nurturing gratitude. In Buddhist teachings, gratitude is a gateway to awakening. When we feel gratitude toward our parents, teachers, friends, and even the challenges that have helped us grow, we see ourselves as small before the immense gifts life has offered us. The Buddha once said, "The one who knows gratitude and repays it is the noblest." Gratitude allows us to view life with reverence, and from this perspective, humility naturally arises within our hearts. The Buddha also emphasized that one of the most vital practices of humility is learning to listen. When we truly listen not just with our ears but with our hearts, we abandon the urge to judge or impose our ego on others. Listening is an act of compassion, enabling us to understand and empathize. When we listen with humility, we not only learn from others but also create an environment of harmony where everyone feels respected and loved. Another aspect of practicing humility is accepting our own limitations. The Buddha taught that no matter how vast our knowledge may seem, it is but a grain of sand in the desert of wisdom. When we accept that we do not know everything, we open ourselves to learning not just from elders but also from the young, and even from difficulties and failures. This acceptance helps us grow continuously, refining ourselves along the way. Practicing humility also involves serving others without expecting anything in return. In Buddhist scriptures, the Buddha often highlighted that humility is most evident in acts of service. When we help others with pure intentions, without seeking recognition, we sow seeds of goodness within our hearts. These actions not only bring joy to others but also nurture compassion and humility within ourselves. Moreover, humility requires us to let go of the need for validation or praise. In modern society, we are often caught in the cycle of proving our worth through the eyes of others. Yet, the Buddha taught that our true value lies not in external accolades but in the serenity of our hearts. When we practice humility, we stop worrying about proving ourselves to anyone and instead focus on living in alignment with authentic values. Lastly, practicing humility means living mindfully in every action and word. When we speak gently and think carefully before acting, we not only show respect to others but also cultivate harmony and peace within ourselves. The Buddha once said, "Humble speech is the most precious gift, for it not only soothes the listener but also purifies the speaker's mind." Friends, humility is neither distant nor difficult to achieve. It begins with the small moments of daily life in how we treat others, in our attitude toward criticism or praise, and in how we view ourselves. When we live with humility, we not only find peace for ourselves but also spread this light to those around us. After all, a humble heart is the foundation of a happy and fulfilled life. Humility in the modern era through the lens of Buddhism. Dear friends, as we step into the modern era, characterized by rapid technological advancements and societal changes, humility seems to be a fading value amidst the whirlwind of fame, materialism, and ego assertion. Yet, it is precisely in this context that humility becomes more essential than ever. Far from being merely a moral virtue, humility is a key to finding peace and wisdom amidst the chaos of modern life. Today, with the prevalence of social media, everyone has the opportunity to showcase themselves to thousands or even millions. However, this overemphasis on self-presentation often leads to conflicts, competition, and an emptiness in the soul. The Buddha taught that attachment to the ego is the root of suffering. When we overvalue ourselves, we become easily hurt by criticism, entangled in endless comparisons, and lose balance in our minds. In the modern era, humility serves as a lesson in letting go of boastful egos, helping us live harmoniously with others and ourselves. Practicing humility in the modern world does not mean abandoning personal growth or ambitions. Instead, it involves understanding and aligning our goals in a meaningful way. The Buddha reminded us that everything we achieve is a result of interconnected conditions. Nothing is solely our doing. A humble person acknowledges that their success is not solely the product of their own brilliance but a combination of support from others, favorable circumstances, and lessons from failure. This mindset prevents arrogance, fosters gratitude, and encourages lifelong learning. Another dimension of humility in the modern era is the ability to listen. In a world where everyone wants to speak, listening has become a rare quality. The Buddha taught that a wise person knows when to remain silent and listens attentively. By listening without judgment or imposing our views, we not only understand others but also expand our own hearts and minds. Practicing humility through listening strengthens relationships, alleviates conflicts, and builds trust in an increasingly fragmented society. In addition, humility in the age of technology means using our knowledge and achievements to serve others rather than to assert our own importance. Buddhist scriptures emphasize the importance of sharing and serving. A truly humble person does not boast about what they possess but quietly uses their resources to benefit the community. They understand that the value of knowledge and talent lies not in display but in their ability to help others overcome difficulties and find happiness. However, practicing humility in the modern era is not always easy. We live in a world where competition, accomplishments, and ego often overshadow modesty. Yet, it is in these moments that humility becomes a guiding light, helping us avoid getting lost in superficial glories. With a humble heart, we can resist the lure of endless ambitions and focus on living authentically. Friends, humility is not weakness or a lack of ambition, it is the strength to master oneself, overcome temptations, and lead a meaningful life. The modern era presents many challenges, but it also offers countless opportunities to practice humility in real-life situations. Remember, a person's true value lies not in what they flaunt but in what they quietly contribute. By living with humility, we not only find peace for ourselves but also spread this value to those around us. Let humility be the soothing breeze that eases tensions, the gentle flame that lights the way, and the clear water that refreshes the soul. In the modern era, humility is the bridge that connects heart to heart, person to person, and ourselves to the boundless peace of life. Humility is the root of inner peace. Dear friends, as we conclude our journey of understanding humility, perhaps each of us has found our own reflections within. The most important realization, however, is this: humility is not just a noble virtue but the root that nurtures a tranquil soul and a clear mind. Humility, through the lens of Buddhism, is the shedding of the ego to return to our pure essence, where compassion and wisdom shine radiantly. The Buddha taught that the ego is the root of all suffering. When we cling to our ego, we are easily swept into the vortex of craving, anger, and ignorance. Ego makes us constantly seek to prove ourselves superior, grasp at things that do not truly belong to us, and fear change or loss. But humility is the antidote to this ailment. By learning to let go of the ego, we not only lighten the burden of pride but also discover genuine inner peace. Humility is neither self-deprecation nor weakness. It is the expression of a strong soul, wise enough to see that everything in life is impermanent and nothing truly belongs to us forever. The Buddha likened life to a river, where everything comes and goes with the natural flow. When we are humble, we stop clinging to what is not ours. Instead, we learn to flow with life, embracing its arrivals and departures with a calm heart. The modern era presents us with countless opportunities to showcase our ego. Yet, in this context, humility becomes even more precious. Practicing humility not only fosters harmony with those around us but also builds a community filled with love and understanding. The Buddha taught that compassion and humility are the paths to liberation. When we live humbly, we not only free ourselves from the prison of the ego but also spread the light of peace to others. Friends, consider the lotus flowers in a muddy pond. Despite their surroundings, they radiate a pure fragrance and remain untainted. Humility is much the same. It does not diminish our worth, instead, it allows us to shine quietly and enduringly. When we live humbly, we do not need to prove ourselves with grand words or showy deeds. Instead, the way we treat others with compassion, tolerance, and gentleness will speak volumes about our true value. Humility is not just a quality to practice during a certain phase of life but a lifelong path to holistic growth. It encourages us to keep learning, continuously improve ourselves, and view everything with an open heart. The Buddha once said that the wise are those who always recognize their smallness, for they understand that as vast as the universe may be, the human mind must be equally expansive to encompass all things virtuous and good. As we close this reflection, take a moment to contemplate the path we have traveled. Humility is not just a lesson but a precious gift that allows us to live peacefully amidst the world's turbulence. Carry the spirit of humility in your thoughts, words, and actions, so that each step you take leaves a mark of love and peace. Remember that when our hearts are filled with humility, we not only find peace for ourselves but also contribute to making the world a more beautiful place, like the lotus flowers spreading their fragrance in the transient stream of life.